and Prakash. I'm a physiotherapist. The idea for this research has come from attending many such conferences, that we all come to conferences to learn what is new in our field. And the question for me was, so what happens when we go back to our clinics, or to our practice, to our academic setup? Right? How far that reflects our opportunities that we have had to update. So this is an issue that there is a big science practice gap. There is, in science, there are new evidences or keeps on updating older things that have been proven sometimes inappropriate, and sometimes there are better versions of the way we practice, constantly changing. However, when you look into the practice, or clinical practice often does not seem to catch up, not just with the speed of development, but also the content of the research, what it is suggesting. So we believe that the accumulation of research evidence without its effective utilization, that is, I'm talking about implementation of the evidence in practice, without that, this can question most of the work that we need to make it worthwhile, whatever efforts that are put on to research, that unless it is put into clinical practice, it makes little sense to us. So if you look at the research output in stroke rehabilitation, you can see that there is the trend is going upward, especially after 1990s. If you say there are more number of RCTs are being published. On an average now, about 60 RCTs in stroke rehabilitation itself is published in the past 3 years. That's every year we have that much huge evidences are being created and so on. So there's a big increase in the amount of research output in stroke rehabilitation. But and with that output, even though we still don't know what works for some of the functions such as appalling, we know that what doesn't work, and also we know that what is better that is available right now for us to give. That we have this recent systematic review that has summarized the evidences so far and has given guidance on what would be the appropriate practice as of now. And that is task-specific and functional activity-based exercise, improve patients' recovery of daily functions, which is the conclusion of this recent systematic review. So, but when we looked into, this is what, there is a huge amount of research that is going on, and we have certain conclusive evidence in some outcomes, but when we look into the clinical practice, so what is going on in clinical practice? In UK and Japan, it's NDT and BOBA, it's what defines clinical practice. And in US and Netherlands, it's impairment-oriented primarily, and now in Australia, the treatment that is provided are more task-specific. So we have asked the same question, so what's going on in India? So that was our research question. We wanted to find out what is the current practice standards as far as physiotherapy is concerned, and our next objective is to see how far the current standard reflects the existing evidences. So what we did is, we did an observational study, a multi-center observational study. Basically, we have had a direct non-participation observation method. That is, one of the researchers who received training and observation has went to different centers. This study was particularly done in Gujarat state. So the researcher went to different centers where they deliver physiotherapy. She went there and just observed what treatment is being given, and then noted down. We have had a data collection form which I will explain later, and then we collected data for each patient, what treatment is actually provided, and along with that we also had few more information which I will explain. So treatment sessions are observed and noted, and the physiotherapists and patients are aligned with the specific purpose of the study. That we have said that we are going there to collect data on what is given, but we have specific objective of what purpose for what this is being collected, blinded, and this is according to one of the other study, Catherine Lang, who have done similar study in the US, and we have followed these similar methods. So the observation protocol which we have used to collect data is based upon the SPIRIT tool, which is developed by Professor Sarah Tyson. We have made some changes because the practice standards are slightly different here. So we did similar changes. What all the data that we collected was the exercise goal. So we have asked for each exercise that is being given to patient, we have asked the therapist who is giving that exercise, what was the goal of this exercise, and exercise type, which are classified into differently. When we discuss the results, I will show more. And description of exercise, what was actually done, type of movement, active, passive, active assisted, and environment in which it is done, intensity, that is the amount of time spent on each exercise, and starting position. This is specifically we have looked into to see how far the starting position reflects the function being carried out, and also other information on whole path practice and feedback we have looked into. So frequency of information and other details were collected, that how much time they spent on each exercises. So far, overall we have observed 157 patient treatment sessions. We have observed 1 session because in our pilot testing we have seen that treatment session, the content of treatment sessions doesn't change that drastically even if you observe them for 4 or 5 days. So we have selected one particular session for a particular patient, and the researchers spent a minimum of 1 week in a particular center and observed all the patients being treated over there. So the research what we found, this is the demographic details of the patients. Most of the physiotherapists who are delivering stroke rehabilitation are fairly young in the setup we have given, and about 60 minutes of exercise, an hour of exercise on an average is being delivered in the centers, and 1 sessions per day, about 5 to 6 sessions per week are delivered. This is the status of stroke rehabilitation delivered. And here comes our results. So we have looked into, you can see that about 26% of the exercise is passive, which is very disappointing. And if you look at the starting position, about 43% of starting position in which patients were given exercise in line. So that doesn't really reflect what the evidence is suggesting. And the next was the aims of the exercise we have asked. The aims, if you look at, about 15% of the aims are about regaining selective movement and strength and so on. If you look at the down, you can see that social participation and self-care activities, which is what the common goal of many patients, were not actually the aims of the exercise that is being given. And the type of exercises provided, you can see passive movements and stretching, strength exercise, mostly impairment oriented, and about 25% of passive movements is concern for all of us, especially when we look at the evidence. So, to complete what we have found, what is delivered in India is more passive and impairment oriented, and 73% of the interventions are path practice. This is slightly similar to the other developed countries. This is, I don't know if it's another concern. So which we believe that research utilization is very poor as far as the stroke rehabilitation is concerned, and I'm sure it may be same in other places also. The limitations is that we have done in 15 different centers in Gujarat. Maybe it may not be generalized to all places, but yeah. And the sample size we couldn't really do it, whether the treatment changes according to the centers or the acute, subacute, chronic changes, we couldn't see it. And I would like to conclude that this is a serious concern as far as stroke rehabilitation is concerned. That is because if the focus is on passive and impairment oriented, this is a huge waste of resources in terms of time, in terms of money, especially in terms of the potential for the recovery that the patients are having. They must be receiving more active functional practice, which they can indicate. I thank Dr. Sarah Tyson for giving permission to adapt her tool and also sharing the tool, and all the therapists and administrators who have given permission for us to collect data. Thank you very much.
And you set functional goals for the patients.
Yeah.
That's specific.
Yes.
Especially all ADLs.
Yes.
Right from the beginning. Your studies were all for the acute or subacute stage?
Our study participants, we have did a purposive sampling to ensure that the sample reflects acute, subacute, and chronic. but our samples is mostly subacute and chronic. We have had some acute patients also, but there isn't much drastic difference. However, we didn't do the analysis because sample size was not allowing us to do.
Because the transition from acute to subacute is very fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
But all your goal settings were task specific to the areas that a person requires.
I can't understand the question.
I say, today, in the era where we set goals for all functional activities of ADL and just don't carry on the passive movements, even the passive movements, we try to involve the patient in the daily activities, like assisted guided activities to wipe the face with tissue or towel. So the plasticity of the brain is much more enhanced than just doing passive movements to the hand.
I understand that, but except that the clinical practice doesn't really reflect that. That's our point. The data doesn't suggest. We have looked into several centers. The data doesn't suggest that. But that's what should have been doing.
Any comments from anyone? Yeah, please.
I just wanted to say that I'm graduate like you because it's a very nice study. I think many places in the world should make this study and make us more aware about the content of the therapies that we are providing. It's a very nice study and it should be repeated in other places. So we will talk to Sarah Tyson and you.
Thank you, Eric. It was a nice study and a nice presentation. And is there evidence that this active versus passive is a big difference? Is there evidence of that?
Yes, sir. There's a clear-cut evidence that shows that active forms of training helps. We have a huge systematic review which is published now. It's clear now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So I think, thank you. And we move to the next speaker. Activity level.